I'm trying different methods to get this to fucking work. Jesus Christ. I should not be having this much of a problem. I was not having this much of a problem when I first started streaming like a week ago. Like, what the fuck? Can you leave me alone, Sony, for like 10 minutes? That would be great. Because like right now, I'm counting it. I'm watching the timer to see how long it's gonna let me fucking stay on. Oh, God, this shit it pisses me off more than almost anything else. Because it's infuriating. Like, I'm trying to talk, and it won't let me talk. Okay, I think it's settled now, because now it's actually showing me live. Hey, fuck. So, anyway. Got that out of my system. Oh, fuck you. Anyway. So, as I was trying to say for, like, the commotions, whatever, Timbuktu time, I'm going to be talking about 7, but I got 10 in the background to act as like a little thing, so that way, and I've missed a phone. Okay, it wasn't opening for it. Okay, anyway, so, now I've gotten all whatever, so it's like, okay. Essentially, as I said, like, this is gonna be a discussion about 7 and its ending, and why it was blocked throughout that entire attempt at streaming earlier. I've deleted it because there's no point. There's no point in you watching just a blue screen and me just talking. Like, that does nothing. That does nothing. So, like, okay, so basically, I'm just going to try and explain to you, to the best of my ability, what the ending is, and what I feel like it represents. So, bear with me, I'm still pissed at Sony right now, and their bullshit. But, essentially, so, since you guys couldn't see, I'm going to explain what all happens. So, from the very last point of my last stream, where it cut off with Heidegger, with the group, Heidegger shows up with all his Shinra troops, thinking he's got them trapped, blah, 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 blah. Cloud and Tifa show up, rescue them, they make their way out of the building, and they notice the Whispers have taken over the Shinra building, and within the building itself, Rufus Shinra can see the Whispers, but the head Turk Sung can't. He doesn't know what's going on. Rufus sees them, but he doesn't know exactly what they are. He doesn't, he's not sure what's going on either, but he's eerily calm about it. I don't really know for certain what's going on with that. There's a lot of theories I guess could be made about that, like maybe he knows more than he's letting on, or something like that. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember what I'm going to say. Okay, so there was that, and then, like, the Rufus sends Shinra troops to go after the party and whatnot, and of course there's a whole bike mini game involved, and where when there's a boss mech you have to fight. It's not really too difficult, it's just really annoying as fuck. And then once you get the boss down and whatever, and you reach the end of, like, the road or whatever, you come up and see Sephiroth, the little bitch boy that he is. He does his whole little spiel and blah blah blah, Aerith and Cloud both kind of tell him to fuck off, essentially. And then, like, he opens a portal to, I'm assuming, like, an alternate version of, like, an alternate timeline, I'm guessing. I do not know, nor do I claim to know. This is just me kind of, like, doing my own little theory spin-off about it. So, essentially, like, fuck, I don't even know what I'm doing. So yeah, this is me kind of like theory crafting. So he opens this portal and whatever, and Cloud, he's about to walk in like the brave boy that he is. And Aerith stops him. She uses her little ancient power. She uses her ancient power and she does something with the portal. I'm guessing to stabilize it or whatever. I'm not quite sure. And then, like, they have their little heroic speeches, their little heroic moment there where they talk about destiny and yada yada yada. And then, essentially, like, the game gives you the opportunity to go and buy some items one last time. You get to talk with the peeps one last time, and then you can just walk in and they have another dramatic moment where they do that. And then, essentially, like, you come up, like, when you first walk through, like, you're pretty much on the same road. You're not, it doesn't look all that different. However, it quickly, like, disintegrates, and you start to see, like, this is definitely not the same Midgar. Like, you're not in Midgar. It's, again, bear with me, my explanation of shit is, like, terrible, I know. And you come across the Whisper Harbinger and his 3 little cronies. And they're kind of elemental, but kind of not. It's a little hard to explain, but so, like, they're kind of, I guess, like the big boys of fate, like almost in a sense, like they're the same position as, like, in the Greek mythos, the Sisters of Fate type of deal. They're kind of like that, I guess, if you want to consider it like that. I'm not completely sure, because, again, like, this is coming from somebody who has never played the original. I don't even know if this was part of the original. And, this is just me trying to, like, speculate and get and understand it from my point of view, like, how it's interpreted. So, essentially, there. Oh, hang on. I need to. Okay, so essentially, like, to me, that's how they kind of operate. Is like they're like the Greek version, like they're like the Greek Sisters of Fate per se, where you have to, like, either take them down or abuse them, and in this case, you have to take them down. And it's like, bear with me, I'm still kind of, like, waking up here also. It's essentially the only way you can take down the big Harbinger is by taking down, like, the cronies, because it's, like, almost like an interconnected, like, part of itself type of deal. And with that being said, you know, you get through that battle, like, as well as really as along the battle itself, like, once, like, every time you deal damage to, like, the big kahuna, you, like, you get these flashes of memory, or at least a possible outcome of a future. One of them included Red running with, I'm guessing, his babies? Question mark. And apparently to Red that was a bad outcome, which again I'm assuming has something to do with the original being in that would be like essentially a restart of the timeline. Again, this is coming from somebody who has not played the original, so I'm basing on what I do know. And essentially, that was a bad outcome, so that's something that they don't want. And then, like, there's another one where, I'm trying to remember, there was like 3 or 4 different outcomes or memories. I think there was more so outcomes than anything. And it was shit. I'm trying to remember because like I don't feel like swapping games again, just so I can see it myself and talk about it when you guys won't even be able to see it. So like that's why I'm trying to like figure it out. There was also one with, yeah, there was another one with Cloud and Sephiroth fighting, which I feel like that kind of outcome was going to happen no matter what, so I don't understand the whole point of that being a bad outcome when that was going to happen anyway, question mark? I don't know. And I fucked up. But anyway, though, like, we're already poisoned, you bitch. Oof. Yeah, like, I'm not even really paying attention at this point, like, it'll be a miracle if I come out of this alive. Yeah, nah, I'm not. But anyway. So, like, there was that outcome that was shown, and then, like, there was... What was another one? Yeah, sorry, when you load up data, like, it'll cut off the camera. Whatever. I don't know. Just bear with it. But I'm back now. So, like, there was that, and then... And essentially, like... All of these are supposedly bad outcomes. And so, like, once you beat the main Harbinger and whatever, then you get to, like, fight Sephiroth, who from what I've been told by those who have played the original, and from seeing other theories being crafted, is it's not really Sephiroth, it's Genova. Just taking the place of Sephiroth for whatever fucking reason. I don't really know. Again, this is all speculation. Who knows at this point? Considering it's a remake, it could easily just be Sephiroth being the bitch he is. I don't know. I'm just shooting out my ass here. But it's one of those things I don't know, like, the ending itself, okay, so, like, you fight Sephiroth, you manage to beat him, and then, like, he takes Cloud into this otherworldly area, and he tries to, like, get him to join him, like, team up and whatever. Cloud says no, because he is an angel, and it's just, like, he takes him to what he calls the edge of creation. And, like, it looks pretty fucking cool. It looks like they're in fucking space. I don't even know where they are. And I don't know, like, for one, like, I don't know how Cloud gets out of that area. If there's a portal waiting for him, I don't know. And then, like, it cuts to, like, them being outside Midgar. And, like, there's all these little glowy shower things just falling all over Midgar. And it shows them outside Midgar looking towards it. It starts raining. They start walking away from Midgar, and as they do, like, you see, like, two different timelines. You see the current one with them walking away from Midgar, and then you see, like, Zack carrying Cloud to Midgar. And, like, as they're walking, like, you just see them crossing paths. And Zack kind of has this look on his face, like he's able to see them. And he's confused about it, and, it's just so weird. And then, like, Aerith in the end, like, she looks up as it's raining, she's like, I miss the steel sky. Referencing the fact that she grew up in the slums and that's all she knew was the steel sky. And you know, it ends there, and it's just like that's a big cliffhanger to hang on. And, like, here's my thing though, like, if you're gonna do it like that, at the very least, you don't want to leave too many questions, because then it just gets to the point where it's like, well, I don't think part 2 is going to be able to answer and blah blah blah, because, like, you fall into, like, the writer's trap of setting yourself too big to fail mentality. And I've more than likely done this in my own writing, but it's almost like a catch-22 for Square Enix, I think, because they wanted to make sure that the ending was going to be great and that it would want people excited for part 2, but at the same time, though, like, I feel like they kind of put themselves in this position where they might have done too good of a job, because a lot of people are going to be looking for answers in part 2. Like, all of us are going to be looking for answers in part 2. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, I will be looking. And that also begs the question, like, how big is part 2 going to be? Is it going to be able to answer all their questions? Or is this going to be one of those situations where it's going to be like the original, where it's going to be in 3 discs? You know, it just leads back to the whole setting yourself up to fail an aspect of things. And that's what I'm afraid is going to happen. And is this karma going to kill me? No, it is not. I know it will kill him for sure, so I'm just going to do that again. He's a fan. I don't know if it'll kill him, though. Like, I'm not trying to be a pessimist about part 2. If anything, I'm really excited about part 2. It's just that I'm worried that part 2 is going to be even more ambitious. Like, I'm afraid it's going to be more ambitious than part 1 was, because of the fact that, like, it's going to be a completely wider area, wider berth to cover than just Midgar. And with that being said, like, I feel like they're going to focus more on all that than they are with, you know, answering some of the questions that we have. And therefore, it's not going to satisfy our curiosity, our desire to know more, and to kind of get a better understanding of what the fuck happened. Because I know the biggest question is going to be, what's going to happen with Zack Fair? What's going to happen with Zack? Because, like, he was, like, a big person for people for the original. Like, I know that much because, like, he might not have done a whole lot in-game, but the story behind him is so there. And the fact that they're keeping him alive in the remake is definitely going to have a lot of people questioning things. And I'm losing my voice. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have been screaming at my PlayStation, but That was bad. But, so, that was kind of my take on it. I try to explain the ending for you guys as best I can. Because, again, Sony won't let me fucking show it. Because apparently it's all a block scene for whatever reason. Despite the fact everybody knows the ending by now. The game has been out for a good amount of time. At least in retrospect of today. And so right now I'm just kind of theorizing. I'm trying to kind of like piece it together myself as to what's going on in the story. And I'm interested to see what you guys think as well, because like this is like, because they did their intention of trying to not be too nostalgic. Because again, like I talk with people that play the original, and there was a lot of key differences from the original, but yet there was still nods to the original, which was appreciated. So they did they did what they wanted to do, which was not be too nostalgic, and they did something completely original in this aspect. So you didn't have to play the original to understand it. However, I feel like, with that being said, that you'd still have to do it anyway, because like there's so much you can't really understand because of it. Like Zack, like you don't know who the fuck Zack is now. You don't know what the purpose of Zack is in the ending. Like it's so random. And that's why I'm kind of worried about what they're going to do with him in part 2, if they're going to do anything. Because if they retcon what they did with him, then what's that going to mean for Cloud? Because Zack and Cloud, they're like two of the most pivotal characters, I believe, aside from Aerith. And to like completely like change one of these two characters, it's obviously going to change the other one, because again, for those of you who are not aware, this might be a spoiler for you, I'm sorry, but Cloud is not a soldier. In the original, he was never a soldier. He never got to be a soldier. The only reason people take him as such is because of his eyes and his uniform. And here is why. Because there was the incident called the Nibelheim incident, which is Cloud and Tifa's hometown. There was this storage of Mako there. Sephiroth had gone mad, because he was originally a good guy. I don't know the details of that. Bear with me. I'm just trying to piece together what I do know. He's gone mad. He attacks this place because Genova's there. Zack goes to stop him. He ends up dying because of it. However, Cloud is there. He takes the Buster Sword and he kills Sephiroth. And keep in mind, Cloud is not a soldier. He is an infantryman for Shinra. He is nowhere near close to being a soldier. However, he has trained for it. And so, because of him, he stabs Sephiroth. However, this creates a reaction. I don't know if Sephiroth just fucking exploded like a bomb or what. But Cloud ends up getting bathed in Mako. Thus, he initially becomes a soldier in that aspect. However, because of Cloud killing his mom, because of Sephiroth killing Cloud's mom, the Nibelheim incident altogether, like Cloud's memory is pretty much broken. He doesn't even know who he really is, in the sense that he essentially takes Zack's memories as his own, because he and Zack were pretty much like best friends. And so, like, he pretty much encapsulates all of Zack's memories as his own. And that's why, like, during the game, like, he'll have these, like, moments where he's having these memory flashes, because like his true self is trying to come out, but it's just so hard because the reason why he ends up taking Zach's memories as his own, it's because of trauma, because he's gone through a lot of trauma. And so with that being said, that's why Cloud believes himself. He's a soldier first class. He has a uniform. He sees himself as Zach. And Tifa knows this. She has an idea that something's not quite right. Cloud doesn't remember, something obviously is going on, but she plays along because she's afraid if she tries to outright tell him, it might end up actually breaking Cloud to the point of no return, I'm guessing anyway. And yes, I'm not forgetting about you, just let me talk. And so with all that being said, that's why we see how things happen in the game, because this was pre-remake, pre-original, and I'm trying to remember the point I was making. I'm forgetting to play. Essentially, with that being said, with that being said, if they're gonna retcon Zack dying, if they're gonna use this whole timey-wimey bullshit to do that, how is that going to affect Cloud? How is that going to, like, is this going to be what causes Cloud to break down? Is seeing Zack alive? Or is Sephiroth going to kill him again in a different way? There's so much that is not being said, but is being said with that ending with Zack. And I don't know. Because, like, again, this is coming from somebody who's not played the original. However, I've done my own research to a degree. I've talked with some people about it. So, like, this is how my theory is coming together. Because, okay, so, if Zack were to stay alive, and Cloud and the others find him, obviously Aerith is going to be happy because they were together. They were lovers. And then, of course, Cloud seeing him, it's obviously going to cause some type of mental breakdown, because right now Cloud does not know Zack exists. He does not know him. He does not remember him. And of course this also begs the question, what's going to happen with the Buster Sword in that case too? I don't, like, there's so many questions. I don't know. And this is what I'm worried about when it comes to part 2. Because if they do what I think they're going to do, which is they're going to go all out, they're going to go really big on part 2, it begs the question of, is anything going to be answered? Or are we going to have to wait more for, like, a part 3? Which I hope they don't do. I hope they don't do. Because then that was, because if they wait until, like, part 3 to, like, answer some of these questions, that's gonna be, you're pushing your luck, Square Enix. I'm sorry, because, like, it's one thing, like, right now, you set up part 1, this was, like, your pilot ship of this game. I get it, you want to go all big and, oh, fuck, I'm all bro. Yeah, let's not, no. Fuck off. Fuck, I'm losing my voice. Give me a minute. So, essentially, I feel like they could go about this 2 ways. They can either do a lot of exposition and storytelling in part 2 to make up for the questions in part 1. Because they can do both. They can have their cake and eat it too, if they want to really go big and all out on part 2. They just have to remember to give us some story to make up for part 1. Because, again, part 1 was pretty much like a setup of the game. It's essentially the bread and butter. It's the bread and butter. Part 2 has got to be the main course. It's got to have everything. It's got to have your big layout. You're going all out, but it's got to have the story. You got to remember your story. You got to remember what direction you're going in, and you got to answer the questions. Because think of it like a full course meal. Again, part 1 was the bread and butter. It was the appetizer. It was getting you ready for that main course. Part 2, being the main course, it cannot be too big. Because if it's too big, then nobody's going to want dessert. Nobody's going to really want part 3. Because if you set part 2 up to be so big, people are going to be full. You know, they're not going to have room for that dessert. And you want people to have room for that dessert. Because that's supposed to be your cherry on top. It's how things are finished. It's how the meal is finished. So, with that being said, like, I don't know how they're going to play out part 2. Because, of course, the original was 3 discs. There's a whole continent to explore. So, with that being said, like, again, there's always wiggle room. I'm not saying they have to answer every question in part 2. That's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they need to at least either have this set up or at least answer some of it so that way they can save the rest for part 3 and really get down into that part 3 right there. Because part 3 is going to be like probably the biggest of the 3 parts of this game. Because again, the bread and butter, you have your setup. It's gorgeous. It's great. It got you wanting more. Part 2 is where everything starts coming together. You get to the meat and potatoes. You've sated some of the appetite. And then dessert. That's where it's going to really complete it. It's where everything is going to be solidified and potentially solved. And I say potentially because, again, it could leave room for maybe another spin-off, like how they did with, like, Advent Children and the prequels and everything. Like, I don't know. Bear with me. I probably shouldn't have been screaming earlier, but I was. But yeah. So, with that being said, this is just what I hope Square Enix does, and I've listed the things that I hope they don't do. And of course, another thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that you couldn't fucking see the ending. Like, I couldn't really stream it properly because it wouldn't let me. I'm guessing Sony didn't want it streamed. I don't know why. It's just kind of stupid in my opinion because by now everybody knows what the ending is. Nobody's really going to be spoiled unless they choose to. And I fucked up. Oh well. I'm not really paying attention. Anyway, so essentially I just like my thing about it, like the ending should be streamable. It shouldn't be a blocked scene. There's no reason for it to still be blocked and whatever. But that's pretty much my thoughts on it, and I try to explain it the best I could as far as explaining the ending for those of you who tried to watch but couldn't watch. I think I made a lot of progress today. We finally got it done. Done is what we could do anyway. I'm thinking about continuing my Final Fantasy series, my 10. I'm gonna try and finish this up because I know I've left this pretty much on the back burner for like ever now, and I didn't mean to. But in any case, depending on my schedule and whatnot, I'll see what I can do about continuing this, because this was my flagship series, and I really ought to get back into it, because it's such a great game. Like, I love this game. Like, this was my first Final Fantasy, and I really loved it. And I'm not doing it justice by not finishing it, so I'm gonna definitely try and finish this. What I will try to also do as well is against my better judgment, I will try and attempt the hard mode of the Shinra Combat Simulator again, and I will record my success. I'm not going to stream my failures over and over and burst your eardrums. So I will attempt that again, and then I'm going to figure out what other games to stream in the meantime as well, because I also know I left Hitman on the back burner too. I had that started, I didn't quite finish it. I'm gonna hold off on that, because with Hitman 3 coming out next year, I want to do that a little closer to time as well. I know The Last of Us was definitely one I enjoyed. The first one, rather, I enjoyed it. I plan on streaming that too. However, I am going to preface this now. I will not do The Last of Us 2. I will not play it. I will not stream it. I do not like the direction they went in, and that's all I'm going to say on that. There's another game. I've also thought about streaming the Jak and Daxter games as well, because those were my childhood. I thought about that. I might do that, but again, time will tell, because again, I still have a lot to do anyway, so we shall find out. But in the meantime, keep it classy. I will see y'all later.